Chapter 16, Rail Form A and the Uniform Rail Costing System. The chapter provides background information. Rail Form A and Uniform Rail Costing System developed a variable unit cost for the USOA, specifically studied for the information provided by the analysis supporting the Railroad Accounting Principle Board with the preference of the Uniform Rail Costing System. Rail Form A consists of the equation supported by the report of data, special studies over the period of 1938 to 1973. The Rail Form A underwent many modifications to improve the accuracy, reliability, cost determination. It has been advised to be used to estimate cost of the very regional group of the individual railroads. Numerous special studies, such station clerical switch minutes, equated switching miles have been used in the absence of reported data, but specialist data is derived with the regional and national information to be applied with the individual carriers. Some studies are more than 40 years old. Basic data for the Rail Form A consists of the reported annually through 1977 Class 1 railroads and the interstate commerce required for the annual report with the Form R1. Cost, revenue, capital, operating data would include the report. The capital variable selected expense group is determined for the corresponding quadratic regression as a single variable percentage for each of the accounting group is calculated for the railroad industry with the use to determine for the variable portion of the total expense with the following manner. Reported operating expense for each of the group with the multiplied with the corresponding variable percentage to determine the variable portion of the total account group expense. Variable expense is assigned with the allocated 1 to more than 57 of the cost categories. The variable expense allocations are made using either appropriation ratio as developed in special studies, other formulas, approaches. Details of the formulas included with the listing of the 57 cost categories as prescribed in the Rail Form A. Statement in 1F173 last published in Interstate Commerce in 1973. Variable expenses are allocated to sign up the cost pools of the base of their has a relationship with the output measure. They divided in the output unit for the developing variable unit for each of the cost category. The variable unit used in the computer, the movement specific cost manual for the thoroughly used the computer software programs. Uniform Rail Costing System. The Interstate Commerce Commission before 1976 had begun studying the issue of the railroad accounting for the cost as part of the mandated 4R Act of the Interstate Commerce Commission used revised by the USOA to provide more accurate with the cost of revenue data. Upon passage of the Act, the Interstate Commerce also began to develop a new costing system consistent with the emerging USOA modification system of the Unified Rail Costing System. Uniform Rail Costing System. Using the three-phase approach, the Uniform Rail Costing System transforms reported expertise activity data info into estimating the variable cost of providing specific services. The three phases involve assembly of the required data of the railroads and statistical identification variable to cause relations between the expense of the outputs. Phase 1, developing the variable units for the cost service components. Phase 2, generation of the movement specific cost of these unit costs of the phase 3. The unit rail costing system phase 1. The unit rail cost system requires collection of a large amount of the data developed and cause the database to develop in the 8 major sources of the reported data is additional and specialized engineering study of the reported data included Interstate Commerce Commission Annual Report of Individual Class 1 Railroads, Individual Interstate Commerce Commission Training Yard Service Report of the Interstate Commerce Commission, Quarterly Report of the Freight Commodity Statistics, Individually Report of the Interstate Commerce Commission, Interstate Commerce Commission Way Bills, simply sampled individual way bills sampled from the all U.S. freight improved movements. The Association of American Railroads weekly equipment loading and unloading reports of the CS54-1A and CS54-ID. The Association of American Railroad Cost Recovery Incidences Series RCR are both regional and national basis. ARR Loss Damage and Report. ARR Universal Machine Language Equipment Register. Switching and Terminal Component Special Questionnaires that are processed and computer audited for the accuracy stored in the Unified Rail Costing System Master Information File Database. Once the database has constructed with the statistic technical regression analyst is applied, separate portion of the rail expense data with them analyzed identify the operational feasible statistically significant relationship between the rail expense groups and rail outputs. There's relationships for the basis for the computing variability. Unified Rail Costing Systems Phase 2. Similarly, the RFA approach is mechanically processed and computes the variable for each of the account group. Separately, individual expenses accounts fixed to the variable portions and assigned with the variable portion of the various measure of the output calculated units Cost. Uniform Railway Cost System Phase 3. The Movement Cost Program constructs the cost of specific movements, applying the variable unit of the cost of specific movement parameters. Comparison of the RFA and the Unified Rail Cost System. Both the the RFA and the Unified Rail Cost System the Rail Form A and the Unified Rail Costing System use the same basic approach. Application of railroad average units cost for the indicated movement of the parameters. Both break down with the total cost of the railroad in an additive subsequent component account group of the basic function of rail operation. For example, the road haul and switching both relate to each for the sub-account each group. One of more the output measure of the using either regression or the analysis of one or more variables to default allocation. The output measure chosen may vary from each of the component account group. The railroad form A uses the cross-sectional data array average from the several years for its regression analysis, while the uniform railway cost system uses pool data cross-sectional and time series for its regression analysis. Use the cross-sectional data that requires the aggregated basis have been shown to be useful indicator of the cost-specific movement. Ritchledge's 1972 cross-sectional analysis of proposed the Interstate Commerce Commission, on the other hand, may mask the railroad-specific relationship between the cost and output. The regression analysis technique for the application of the consistent representative with major difference for the railroad form A with the uniform rail cost system. The railroad form A used nonlinear function with respect to output, where the uniform railroad cost system is used as linear functions. Some of the arguable linear function forms does not reflect production economy diseconomies rather than linear form of the expensive regression equivalent to the specifying the fixed coefficient production technology. The McBride 1982, page 379. Interstate Commerce Commission acknowledged the problem with the justified with the use of linear form for the basis superior with the strategical fit to believe the linear approximate with the nonlinear form of the adequate with the estimating cost. The Interstate Commerce Commission stated with the accuracy reported information level accuracy required for the use of the does not appear to justify the pursuit of a more complex theoretical approach. Both the rail form A and the unified rail costing system rely heavily on each of the single output measure which base for the estimated with the percent variable with the expense for the function of multiple units. Alternatively, increasing unnecessary multiple output measures may cause interval coefficients to unreliable with the equation taken for the pole provides for the reliable estimate of the total cost of the account group. Rail Form A underlying the tenets of the general variable consistent with the railroad accounting principles. However, the Rail Form A is made with the accounting system discontinued 8 years ago. But both the Rail Form A and the Uniform Rail Cost System rely on the R1 as primary source for the input data for the cost for, and supplemented with the data improve the Association of American Railroad. However, each of us use the USOA containing the difference of the underlying expense detail. Railroad must be currently mandated with the USOA, and converted with the conform the USOA to be the Rail Form A. The railroad industry has maintained the process of converting the existing system with the accounting back to the inferior system of the accounting, which has been replaced with non-rational. Industry also maintains such conversion at the expense of the time-consuming exercise which necessity are attributed with the account of the group's allocations, reducing the both utility and accuracy of the data. Moreover, natural accounting groups, salary, wages, materials, supplies, purchase services, general, the new USOA, which is a unique feature of the unified rail costing system, may be lost if the conversion used of the old USOA acquired with the rail form A. The loss of these accounting groups make it impossible to perform the more accurate indexing to the common year for the regression analysis of the unified rail costing system. Some shippers, however, maintain that they have not encountered the problem that alluded to be the railroad industry. For example, they have not found the conversion of the USOA data with the preparation of the rail form A to be problem. With regarded with the rail form A variable ratio, shippers note that it was within the Interstate Commerce Commission power to keep them current. Use of the rail form A also describes the relationship of the significantly improvements available through current USOA and such more detailed functional accounting definitions, which turn allows more appropriate regression analysis. Regression equations are more easily updated with using the uniform rail costing system than using the rail form A. For example, the uniform rail cost process data pre-processes data for the regression analysis. The railroad form A process presently relies on the static regression equation to estimate the unit of the movement cost. The railroad form A is a variable ratio for the Interstate Commerce Commission last regression study applied and completed in 1972. regression analysis issue. Regression analysis issue. Regression analysis issues, chapter 17.